Live from the Busch Light Studios.
I love Arkansas. I love everything here. Give me that thing here. Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
And this one belongs to the Razorbacks.
Streaming live from
HitThatLine.com.
Fans are amazing. It is lit down here on the sideline.
This is Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious...
Here come the students. Oh, here come the students. They're coming from the south end, and this one has been a long time brewing.
I have been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Judging by the sound of it, so has everyone else.
Hey, hold on. It's almost halftime.
Oh, we got a lot going on here. Just count how many different box scores and stat pages and live reads going on. I wouldn't say it's quite a copy of War and Peace, but maybe it's
a lot.
A chapter of it. See, we get the men's basketball win. We got women's basketball with a win yesterday. You get 2 out of 3 for baseball with a cold out or a rain out of some sort on Saturday thrown in the middle. And you get the SEC women's basketball tournament starting later this week. You got Arkansas men's basketball still with a shot at an SEC regular season championship. You got softball playing. You got track winning SEC championships. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. Everything happening all at once.
Crazy time on the Hill. That's all you can say.
It really is.
Great time, though. Crazy, but great.
So welcome into our Friday show. If you've just tuned in for the first time, we refer to Mondays as Fridays because it's like everything that happened over the weekend we get to talk about today. So what am I doing with this box score from last week? That's what we used to do during football season. Kind of felt like crumpling that thing up. Great weekend to be a Razorback. For those who are worried about the baseball bats, still won 2 out of 3. Basketball, what a day Saturday. That was really amazing. And women's basketball got back to doing what they do yesterday with a high-paced, fast-paced, high-excitement victory over Mississippi State for the second time. Saturday, though, was fun. Let's start on that. Saturday was just a ton of fun. For those who were there, for those who were not there, for those who are Razorback fans, that was a great game for one. The atmosphere was the nuttiest I've ever been to inside a basketball arena, ever. The only thing I could compare it to, Drew, is as a student at Indiana University, 1994 through 1996, and IU was just okay then. Like they might have been on the fringe of the top 25. But when Purdue came in, the place went absolutely bonkers. They didn't win at the level that this Arkansas team is winning, and I think there's something about the sound inside Bud Walton Arena that traps it a little differently than Assembly Hall did. Let's just put it out there. And I've been to a lot of college basketball games, but not with 20,000 people inside that building, and not on a Saturday with CBS watching, and not with the 2 hottest teams in the SEC playing against each other. You remember what we were talking about all week, Drew? It's like the anticipation that leads up to that event just sort of makes it compresses everything. It compresses all of that excitement, all of that energy, those nervous feelings that you have when you go into a building like that. And the moment you walked in Bud Walton Arena, Ty and I were just down the street at the stadium shop, and we had to hustle to get back. And, the 56D parking pass, which gets you right past left field at Bogle and next door to the basketball practice facility, it's like, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I heard the parking was quite slim pickings there by the time y'all got there.
I don't know. Maybe the luckiest I've ever felt in a long time was that I found a parking spot next to the soccer stadium. I had to kind of slip between, like you're cursing all of the trucks that take up a spot and a half, and the smaller cars that park on the line. Come on, don't you think today's the day to actually be a quality
in the lines, people,
human
in the
being
lines.
And park properly? Because there were probably like 4 or 5 extra spots that people couldn't fit into unless they had a smart car or were riding a motorcycle. I don't know why you'd be doing that in late February in Fayetteville, and I saw a guy out on a motorcycle this morning. It's nicer today.
A little bit
nicer
actually.
today, and a lot less.
It's gonna
ice on
warm
the
up
floor.
too.
So when I finally walked inside, I'm like, oh my God! Like I know this building. I know Bud Walton Arena very well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know it like that. I don't know it like that. That was new. That was stunning. And for the team, at the outset, it kind of reminded me of the Arkansas-Georgia women's game from last week where the Hogs score 15 of the first 17 points. Like, oh, boy, they're going to blow them out. It's going to be awesome. And then, oh, my God, the team came back. And it was just nerve-wracking. But the game lived up to the atmosphere, too, didn't it?
Oh,
Kentucky lived up. I felt Kentucky lived up. You're not going to come back from that kind of a deficit in that building against this Arkansas team without being a really good basketball team, too. That was such a high-quality game, and it gets you ready for the tournament, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, there's something about these late February, early March, last few weeks of the regular season, games like that really do just get you so hyped and so ready for March Madness, for what we're expecting to be, the next 4 straight weeks of nothing but exciting, nail-biting finishes of college basketball. And that game on Saturday, it not only lived up if you were in person, but I think it came through on television, on radio. I watched most of the game, listened to, I think, the first 8 minutes with Chuck and Z, and then the final 2 minutes with Chuck and Z, and you could hear it on TV in a loud restaurant where I was watching, and then you could hear it come through your car's speakers of just how loud the atmosphere really was at Bud Walton. And the atmosphere is great, but if you don't win, it really doesn't mean all that much.
It becomes a but.
Yeah, it does. It becomes
like the
one
game
of those
could
big
be
buts.
great. It could be a great basketball game, but then it turns into a but, which was the game that Cal got ejected 2 years ago. Everybody talks about that atmosphere and about Cal being ejected and about Dave Van Horn pointing at Cal when he's got his second tee. But then there's the but. Didn't win the game.
Yeah, but you lost. So, and the thing is that just the hot startness of it, like you talked about, scoring 15 in the first 17. Shibwe was the only person that was able to get near the basket for Kentucky in those first 5-6 minutes. He scored, I believe, the first 6 points of the game for Kentucky. That dude is phenomenal. JD Notte won ESPN Player of the Week today.
Oh gosh, what an individual performance by JD, really.
It really was. It was a great performance by him, but I don't know, after watching Oscar play on Saturday, I don't know if anybody'd be that upset if it did come down between Shibwe and Notte for Player of the Year. You also throw Jabari Smith in there from Auburn. And if Shibwe gets it, I think most understanding basketball fans would understand. Would be like, okay, JD had a great season. JD had all the points, the accolades that you needed. But Oscar might just be a little bit better, just that little bit edge, because, he was phenomenal. Both of them finished with 30 points. So, but JD did get the head-to-head matchup, but it's not like they really guard each other either.
JD was legendary. I think that performance was incredible. To put up 30 against that team in front of that audience and the national audience, and to do it the way he did it. Every single way you could score, JD scored. It was beautiful. But it's also the Jalen Williams sick game. I was sitting next to Brett Dolan during the game, and we're like, he looks tired. He looks winded. Looking to be asked to be pulled out. You don't see Jalen do that very much. And, it's not like Muss or anybody else is going to advertise that he's sick. But when you hear Muss in the postgame talk about Jalen puking at halftime, you're like, yeah, you can kind of tell the dude wasn't feeling it. But my gosh, for him to be sick and to play 32 minutes and to bang with Shibwe as much as he did and still make it difficult for Shibwe to put up the points that he did, but really just absolutely amazing. So there's the sick aspect of Jalen Williams being the sick game.
Yeah, it was amazing by Jalen. To be puking at halftime and still finish the game with another double-double and a stat line of 16 points and 12 rebounds. Come on, this dude is absolutely phenomenal.
There were Razorback fans that were ready to puke at halftime because of the comeback by Kentucky, that little run at the end of the first half, man. That's kind of – I think everybody might have been feeling that way, whether you felt ill or not. But I think we should all be that sick and be able to put up 16 and 12 against the number 6 team in the country. You may not be number 6 anymore. I guess our
polls are coming out sometime soon if they already haven't come out.
I'll check during the break.
Jackson does ask the question that I asked Brett Dolan. And this was the other thing that JD did, which I don't remember seeing him do before. The dunk.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's had plenty of wide-open breakaway layups in his career. I don't remember JT dunking it. He went up, one hand, almost effortlessly, and threw that sucker down. And it was like everybody in the building was like, "Oh my gosh, has he done that before?"
It was a big exclamation point of the game, because I don't know about last year, because obviously, wasn't working in this market. I kept up with Arkansas basketball, being in an SEC town, but I didn't watch every single game. But as far as my knowledge this season, I don't believe JD Notae has taken flight like that to slam it down, which is just another great thing that really goes along with this season, Saturday. I mean, I know I brought it up when we were after the Auburn win. I was kind of watching the game, and I just had that feeling of a magicalness of it, that I'm watching a 30 for 30 type of documentary, sports documentary, before it's made. Like, that's just kind of how you felt as that game went along. And I had that same feeling on Saturday, because if this team does play as well as they've been playing this last 14-game stretch, if they continue that for, I guess, another 10-plus games is what it would take to get to the end of April. If they continue to do that, I mean, we're talking about a 30 for 30 being made in 10 years or less. We're talking about that type of team that documentaries will be made of, coffee table books will be printed up, and it'll be memories that not only just people in Arkansas, but college basketball fans throughout the world will have and will hold true.
And it would all start with the shoulder surgery by Muss, right? Because that's when this stretch started. But right now, this team is a contender for the Final Four. I don't know that there's any doubt. And we were thinking the same thing last year. It's just I remember JT texted in about this. He was one of the guys who said, "I think this might be a Final Four team." SmackDown was hosting the show then, and you're not a born and bred Razorback fan, Drew. So you haven't had your soul beaten down and crushed in the way that they have. I know your soul's been beaten down and crushed for Memphis. But for Arkansas, it hasn't happened to you yet. SmackDown refused to believe that it could be a team that would contend for the Final Four. They might not have made it to the Final Four, but good gracious, you're good enough to be there. You just ended up losing to the best team in the country in a good game too. So this team right now, no doubt, you're not going to beat the teams that you've beaten recently, and you get two pretty good teams up ahead of you too. You're not going to have this finish to a season without being one of the teams that everybody's going to circle when it comes time for their bracket challenges. And that's whether or not Arkansas makes a run in Tampa. It's whether or not they win these next 2 games. It's whether or not they win the SEC regular season and finish in a tie with Auburn or whatever. Based upon what we've seen for the last 7 weeks. Is it 7 weeks or 6 weeks? 6 weeks. Based on what we've seen for the last 6 weeks, this is Arkansas Razorback basketball.
The team, they are who they are. And when you get to these final 2 games of the season, especially, you're looking at bracketology. Some's got you a 5. Most have you a 5. I think I saw one that was still around
moving
that
up,
6 line.
starting to move up. It was 6. It's getting up.
You're moving along. You just beat Kentucky. How much credit do you put into the idea that a lot of fans love to throw out when a team's rolling like they are? Well, it might be a good idea for you to lose one. I don't buy into that, especially with a game like basketball. I don't buy into it'd be good to lose one to reset, refocus, or it'd be good to rest and make sure these guys are ready for Tampa or ready for insert NCAA tournament site in March. A game like basketball, it's such a game of momentum and of routine that I feel like throwing any type of wrench in there, whether it's a loss or whether it's reduced minutes to kind of rest some guys, I think is a detriment. I think that it hurts you way more than it helps, because when you've got the train rolling down the tracks, to borrow from Eddie from Clarksville, do you want to slam on the brakes right before you get to the station? No, you want to roll all the way through.
You got to keep shoveling some coal into that hot oven and make it even hotter and get it rolling even more. And Eddie had some pretty choice texts after Arkansas beat Kentucky the other day. I don't even want to get into one of the things that he texted me about. My gosh, a little frightening. Do want to tell you about Bet US Racing. This is the place where you can find all odds on NCAA March Madness, a bracket contest, thousands of dollars in prizes. You can also bet on who's going to win at the Academy Awards at BUSR.com. And ESPN Arkansas listeners, get this, will qualify for an exclusive 100% deposit bonus. If you put in $100, you get another $100 added to your account. Put in $500, you get another $500 in your account. Simple as that. Go to BUSR.com/morning rush. BUSR.com/morning rush. I guess Tommy and Ty get the credit for that. You bet with confidence, bet with BUSR.com. Stay tuned. We'll get into some baseball and women's basketball as well as halftime rolls through this Monday or Friday or whatever it is.
Listen to every Razorback basketball game right here on ESPN 95.3 and hitthatline.com.
The temperatures may be cooling down, but at Wheels RV in Northwest Arkansas, the deals are still red hot. Whether you are enjoying one of over 50 state parks or tailgating with your favorite team, Wheels has the right RV to help you enjoy fall in the natural state. And at Wheels RV, every new unit comes with a lifetime warranty. So get out to Wheels and see why they were voted best RV dealership in Northwest Arkansas. Wheels RV, 5 miles west of exit 72 off I-49 in Springdale. Seek, explore, discover with Wheels RV. Harry Robinson Salasol Ford wants to buy or trade for your vehicle today, and they will give you top dollar. Pre-owned car values are at historic all-time highs, and your car today is worth more than it ever will be again. If you are driving a 2013 model or newer with 120,000 miles or less, bring it to Harry Robinson Salasol Ford, and they'll give you more than any other dealer. Even if you don't want to buy a new car, they'll still buy yours. Harry Robinson Salasol Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off I-40 in Salasol.
My property's disgusting. Who should I call to clean it?
You can call me, Mike Van Jr. My company, Mike Jr.'s Mobile Wash, is a full-service power washing business with over 15 years of residential and commercial experience here in the River Valley and Northwest Arkansas.
Looking at your website, mjmobilewash.com, your home cleaning includes fence, driveway, gutters, pool, and more. Plus, you work with companies like ArcBest and Randall Ford.
Yeah, Ty. My team removes dirt, grime, mold, and more. Call me at 479-763-5561. Mike Jr.'s Mobile Wash. One call, cleans it all.
Standard Materials Group has immediate openings for ready-mix drivers in the Northwest Arkansas area. If you have a CDL license without an automatic restriction and want to be home every night, want to work with a company that offers great pay, benefits, and a great team environment with growth opportunity, apply today at jobs.crh.com. Again, that's jobs.crh.com. Standard Materials Group is an equal opportunity employer.
If you needed major surgery, you probably wouldn't choose a doctor who's never been to medical school. So when your car needs major repairs after a collision, why would you take your car to a body shop that's never been trained? Evans Body Shop is among only 10% of collision repair businesses to meet the industry's highest training standards as a gold class shop. We know the latest repair techniques, how to find hidden damage, and how to repair your car's critical safety features so they work properly again. With the safety of your vehicle and your family at stake, choose trained repair professionals. Choose Evans Body Shop.
Evans Body Shop, where we meet the nicest people by accident.
State sales tax paid on every pre-owned vehicle on the lot now through the end of the month at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. You heard right. State sales tax paid on pre-owned vehicles at Harry Robinson. You'll save hundreds, even thousands with sales tax paid. This sale does not apply to previously negotiated deals. Don't miss your chance to get your state sales tax paid now through the end of the month on every pre-owned vehicle on the lot. Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Exit 11 off of I-540 at Fort Smith.
We're remixed and remastered at TGI Fridays in Fort Smith. Some of your favorite apps, drinks, and desserts are now even better the second time around. Check out the sizzling cheesy bacon mac and cheese bites, a blast from the past with a whole new vibe. Also back are the famous Fridays fried mushrooms and the ultimate cheesy bacon cheeseburger. And all new at Fridays is the Oreo Madness, house-made giant Oreo cookies with cookies and cream ice cream coated in red and white sprinkles, served with chocolate sauce and a fresh strawberry. Come by or order online. It's your locally owned TGI Fridays at I-540 and Rogers in Fort Smith.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Worried more about the net ranking, which Ryan and Conway says is a flawed ranking. He might be right about that. He's not the only person who believes. Probably not.
Unless it's by actual record and everybody's record is taken at face value and as the same value, but that wouldn't be a ranking. That'd be more of a standing.
You know the rankings that are perfect?
What's that?
They're called the standings in professional sports.
Exactly.
That's
what
about
I was
as
getting to.
when it comes to rankings, when it comes to even if it's a computer algorithm or whatever, or if it's just using educated people on the sport that they're voting on and all that kind of stuff, polls ain't the way to do it. But wait, when you've got 360 teams or whatever it is in Division I basketball, what are you going to do? And not every league is equal, so that's why Division I ain't really the same thing, all the way down to the 26 or 27 different leagues. So this is what you got to use, and for right now, yes. And Ryan and Conway says if Lunardi's going to be completely objective using the flawed net rankings, why does he even have a job?
Well, because it doesn't just net rankings is a big part of what the committee uses to, place these seedings and matchups and everything, but it's not the only thing. I mean, they have the eye test just like the CFP committee does, and they have some other things that they look at, strength of schedule and everything.
But if your job
net ranking.
If your job is to predict what the committee is going to do, you got to use the same metrics. It's unfortunate in that case. Joe Lunardi can't. He's not like making a bracket. I think what he's doing as a predictor, and again, he's like the original bracketologist. So maybe we can use that terminology for him. I think bracket predictor is a much better word to use here because it's not a made-up phrase. He's just predicting what the committee's going to do. They have to use net ranking, so he's got to use net ranking. When that all changes, then he'll change it as well. I don't see it changing.
I don't either. I think honestly, I think we're now in a point where at least we know what's being used, right? You go back to our RPI and all these other acronyms that the committee would throw out, they would use, and now that we have the net, it kind of feels, while it is flawed, I'm not going to say it's 100% perfect, but even with its flaws, I still feel like it's the best metric that we've ever had for college basketball and kind of where teams really do line up as far as tournament time comes. So it's not perfect, but it could be worse because we've had worse before.
So you get, they say LSU is proof the net rankings are flawed. I mean, is that legit?
Good wins early.
20 wins. They have 5 victories against Quad 1 teams. They have 12 wins against teams in the top 2 quads. And that's one more than Arkansas has. So
you got to take the whole body of work. You can't just think of what has happened in this 14-game stretch for Arkansas and compare that to a 14-game stretch for everybody else that you're, complaining about or kind of picking at. In Lunardi's bracketology or anybody else's bracketology, you have to take from November through February, which ends today.
All right, we got Eddie on hold here. Eddie and I were texting during the men's basketball game because Eddie could feel it in the air. He could feel it coming in the air today, he said. And one of the things I loved about being inside the arena for Arkansas, Kentucky was I got some great sound on the voice memo machine. We got hog calls. We got crowd going nuts. I sent Eddie a hog call from inside Bud Walton Arena. Eddie, I might have sent that to 2 other people. You be one of them. That makes you one of the 3 most important people of my life. And now that I've figured that out, I think I got to reassess things. How are you, Eddie?
I'm feeling pretty good, gentlemen. I just want to call in. I want to give a hug award to this fan base. I salute you. Because when you talk about environments, and all of college basketball, just what took place Saturday at Bud Walton. I want to salute the team. When you talk about the recipe, where it was on display Saturday at Bud Walton. I mean, J.D. Note, sir, let me tell you this. You take the cake. Because I watched a lot of basketball, gentlemen, under Andy Sutton, the triplets, Corliss Williamson under Coach Richardson, Todd Day, Lee Madry. But Saturday, it was shake, waking and rolling at Bud Walton. You know, I could feel it. The crowd was feeling it. I want to salute Miss Musselman, Miss Danielle Musselman. That's the way to shake it. I tell you what, the whole house was shaking it. Tony Boa, I hope you were up there. I know the damage to the roof must be magnified. Because I'll tell you this, when you talk about it, that's the best environment I can say honestly I ever witnessed.
It was crazy, Eddie. It really was. I mean, everybody was shaking. You could. The building was so loud. The screaming and the yelling was so loud.
I mean, it literally showed the man's pants off because we saw that. We saw a man's pants get dropped because it was shaking so loud, right?
Obviously, it was an involuntary droppage of the pants.
No respectable Arkansas fan would ever, do that in public.
Talk about, I mean, perfect placement too. How do you know that that's the perfect place to put that behind above a shot clock? That's practice, man. That's what that is. That guy snuck into Bud Walton at some point and figured out the exact place that he needed to do to put his cheeks on display for everybody to get a picture of it. And for that guy, did he make or miss the free throw? Isn't that what's supposed to matter?
I don't remember. I'd have to go look at the times.
Eddie, can I just make a request that the next time you're at a Razorback game, no matter what is going on, that you stay fully clothed, please?
I tell you this, sir. When you talk about, you hear me talk about it all the time. You asked me once, what's the difference between Hunt the Light and the recipe? Well, the recipe and Hunt the Light go hand in hand. And the oven was turned up at Bud Walton. And the recipe was bacon. And it's just simply this. What is on the basketball court, the football playing field, or the diamond field, it's the student athletes stepping up and playing on a high level.
That's right.
You keep it out. And what a performance. What can we say? The whole team. But what about down the stretch? The mental toughness, which is a key ingredient of the recipe. Jalen Williams found a way to take it to one of the best big men in the country. And you did exactly that.
Eddie, we appreciate you calling in, and always thank you for listening to our show. Here it is, the last day of February, and Eddie's got all that mid-March madness energy going through his veins. I think everybody is shaking. You got, and by the, keep the energy in a little bit for the next week or so. You got a big one coming up against LSU. You got Tennessee still, and Auburn. Losing to Tennessee. I see a possible loss on the road against Mississippi State. This team is not traveling very well. They need to stop dancing on the opponent's logo all the time. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bad juju coming their way on the road. All right, after the break, we're going to the phones, and our friend Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South will join us. Do a little football with Connor. We'll do a little basketball, too, as well. And it's halftime on a Monday, so don't go anywhere.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
While the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team gold medal victory is known as the Miracle on Ice, the 1960 team was considered just as big of an underdog. Team USA beat the top 4 seeds, Canada, the Soviet Union, Sweden, and Czechoslovakia twice. In their final game of the tournament, they found themselves down 4-3 to Czechoslovakia after 2 periods. They scored 6 straight goals in the 3rd period to win 9-4 to win the gold.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
When there's a chance for gold, you need to have the right people in the right positions. That's why when you post a job for free, LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 770 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to only the most qualified candidates, which means you can start hiring the right people faster. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi folks, matchmaker Larry Rath here with a sweetheart of a deal from Rath Auto Resources. I'm on a mission to help you find the nicer, newer car of your dreams. So if the thrill is gone with your old ride, come see the best selection of Rath Road Ready vehicles we've had in over 2 years. Each one hand-picked and reconditioned in our Meineke Car Care Center. Just find the one you love the best and let our friendly, non-commissioned solution specialists do the rest. With discounts up to $4,100 below retail and the highest trade-in values ever, you'll be head over heels for the deals too. Gonna make it work with the car you have? Let us give it the attention it deserves in our Meineke Car Care Center with a free winter-ready inspection, half-off brakes, and buy 3 get 1 free on all tires. But hurry, this deal will be over quicker than your first crush. Start driving better today in a nicer, newer car you love from Arkansas's favorite used car dealer, Rath Auto Resources and the Meineke Car Care Center, 4515 Towson Avenue, Fort Smith, or online, rathauto.com.
Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer opens like every other seltzer, pours like every other seltzer, but it's not like every other seltzer. USDA certified organic, no added sugar, and low cal, so you've never seen another seltzer quite like it. And with new refreshing flavors like black cherry and watermelon strawberry, you've never tasted one like it either. Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, as real as it tastes. Enjoy responsibly, not a low-calorie food. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, IRC Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Building a home can be stressful. This is true whether you're the homeowner or the contractor. Many times these issues result in a lawsuit. If you are a homeowner or a contractor and find yourself needing legal help, call the attorneys at Kevin Hickey Law Partner. With experience representing homeowners as well as non-payment or other issues that could arise during construction. Contact Brad Hull or Kevin Hickey at 479-434-2414 in the River Valley or 479-802-6560 in Northwest Arkansas. Or check them out on the web at artriallawyers.com.
Takes great work ethic to make any job last 10 years, especially one in the NFL. Hi, this is Brett Good with Henderson Phillips. I spent 10 years playing in the NFL. Now I bring that same work ethic to Henderson Phillips to provide you and your business with the best employee benefit plans for the best prices. Call or text me at 479-651-2292 and let's talk about getting the most value for your employee benefits. I am Brett Good with Henderson Phillips. Call me today at 479-651-2292.
Live here at Randall Ford, 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. Billy, you guys have roughly about 200 pre-owned vehicles on the lot. With every single one of your pre-owns, it's a 150-point safety inspection.
And if they don't pass inspection, they don't get out on our used lot. So they're top-notch, some of the nicest cars in the area.
Come by and see us again, Randall Ford, 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. You can always check us out online at randallford.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
You look like an angel. Walk like an angel. Talk like an angel. But I got wise. You're the devil in disguise.
Now, back to the guys. Here's Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
Connor O'Gara joining us, national columnist, Saturday Down South, and Saturday Tradition as well, man of college football. Connor, we had a big weekend of basketball going on up here. Did you happen to catch Arkansas, Kentucky on Saturday?
I watched basically all that game. I was dialed in, man. How could Bud Walton rocking like that? Come on, man. Of course I got to watch it. That was I mean, grade A stuff. I was just talking to John Neighbors, our mutual friend here, and kind of asking him, like, did J.D. Notae just kind of give us a little maybe peek inside a potential Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier type run? Because it kind of felt like that.
Like it feels like putting a team on his shoulder and taking them along. It's not just the J.D. Notae team. I'm not sure if you knew this. Jalen Williams puked at halftime. He was sick, and he looked winded at times. But to be winded and play 32 minutes banging with Oscar Tshiebwe like that, and to have another double-double, I was just as impressed with Jalen as I was with J.D. because you don't play sick against a really good national contender team and put up those kind of numbers unless you're kind of, I don't know, superhuman.
Look, I love Jalen Williams. I do. Fun guy to watch, but are we sure it was like a stomach bug, or was he just getting hit in the chest too much, or was he trying to sell another fake charge or something like that?
Right. Oh, fake charge. Did you guys hear that?
Don't go there, Connor.
Are you
Please,
telling me
don't
all
go
40 how many charges is it? 46?
45, right?
45, yeah.
Are you telling me that he doesn't deserve all 45 of them?
Look, I'm just saying, the man is a large individual. He is fun to watch. He's great, and I love the development. I think he's going to be a true weapon for him in March, and I'm really excited to kind of see the player that he's blossoming into. But I am 5'8" and like 170 pounds. I am pretty sure Jalen Williams would attempt to take a charge against me, and he would attempt to sell that I knocked him over. Like that's, I mean, come on, let's be honest here. And he's taking advantage of the system. I see no fault in it. But I was just saying to John, I'm like, when they sit down this offseason and they try and change the charge rules, or try and figure out a way to at least correct some of this, because it swung too far in the opposite direction, of course. But they're going to have some Jalen Williams clips ready to go, like 100%. And I don't necessarily blame them or necessarily blame the kid, but it is becoming a part of kind of who he is as a player.
Sounds like you're giving him the Kenny Pickett fake slide treatment. We can't let that happen again. Let's change the rule, lickety split. Hey, Connor, there was I was inside the building on Saturday. I'm usually not able to go. I had never seen Arkansas play Kentucky live at Bud Walton. I'm usually with the women's team, and we didn't fly out to Starkville until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, the only place I can remember that came even close to what I experienced Saturday was Indiana versus Purdue at Assembly Hall. And Connor's an Indiana grad, so he's been to these games probably more than I have. That would have been 1994 through 1996. Bobby Knight was still the coach. Gene Keady was still the coach. Quanzo Martin was Big Ten Player of the Year one of those years. The place was nutty, but I still think Bud Walton was a little louder than Assembly Hall. What do you remember from some of those crowds at Assembly?
Well, when you can get 20,000 people into a stadium, I mean, it just kind of changes it in basketball. And that's the kind of the unique thing about it is, as great as Auburn has been this year developing home court advantage, the fans have been selling out every game and they're camping out. It's 9,000 people in there. It's just not the same as 20,000 people, and you can see just a sea of people, and it does kind of add to the atmosphere, man. I've seen some cool college basketball venues, and I have a lot that are left on my bucket list. I've never been to a game at Bud Walton. I would love to be able to go. The majority of my responsibilities here at SDS are football-based, but, going to those games at Assembly Hall, you're just like, how in the world do you come in here and win? And I say that as someone who experienced the worst 3-year stretch of Indiana basketball ever, and that was from 2008 to 2011. So, I mean, you look at what Bud Walton is now bringing to the table and being that atmosphere where, I mean, let's call it what it is. Like, teams just can't come in there and win. Kentucky played well, and that's maybe the best testament to what Arkansas has become, is you actually felt like Kentucky played really well to battle back in that game after a slow start. And they still weren't able to win that game, and you're still kind of coming away being like, yeah, I mean, this is just what Arkansas does now. You come into Bud Walton, and it's going to be a brutal 40 minutes, and good luck. It's not exactly 40 minutes of hell, but it's a different variation of that, and I think it speaks to the atmosphere that they've been able to create.
Oh, it definitely does, Connor. I mean, the fact of the matter is you've only lost one game at home this year, and it was during that really bad SEC start, and against Vandy was the only team to be able to come into Bud Walton this season and walk away with the victory. Now to college football, and one of the biggest controversial things that has gone on in the sport these last couple of weeks has been the Art Briles hire at Grambling. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that it will backlash so much that he probably may not make it to the start of the 2022 season, or are people just going to be outraged for a minute and then by May we'll all forget about it?
Losing support, there's no doubt about it. You see somebody like Doug Williams. Doug Williams told ESPN, and Doug Williams is one of 5 members of the College Football Hall of Fame who went to Grambling. And seeing him come out and tell ESPN, I'm having a problem with it because other schools would not bite on it, then he's coming back to a black school like we'll take him in. I have a problem with it, a major problem with it. I can't support it, that's for sure. That hurt me to my core right there. I know late coach Eddie Robinson is turning over right now. That speaks to the awkward position you have now put your most prestigious alums in at an HBCU. And there's a reason that this guy has had one job coaching football in the Western Hemisphere in the last 6 years since Baylor. And in case you forgot, this is a guy who was running a program that was accused of, that had football players accused of 52 rapes in a 4-year stretch. All right, this is not somebody who made one mistake, one lapse in judgment, and it was a one-time deal. This is someone who cultured a locker room that had, by every stretch of the imagination, above the law type characteristics, abuse of power. And now to be back in the college ranks, people say, well, what about forgiveness? You know, can't we forgive and be able to move on? Forgiveness applies, in my opinion, to who you are as a human being. And not to get religious or anything like that, but you can apply forgiveness to a lot of different areas if you show contrition and if you show that you're willing to right your wrongs and admit your mistakes. I believe that. But being a college football head coach is a privilege, and forgiveness doesn't necessarily include that privilege. And for Grambling State to kind of bite the bullet and be that program, man, I feel for those alums because that is a really tough thing to have to support. This guy lost 2 other jobs because of the public backlash. Southern Miss was going to hire him as their offensive coordinator 4 years ago. And even the release of an interview prompted them to say, you know what, we have too much public backlash, alums, boosters, like they can't support this. And now Grambling is going to be in an awkward spot. It would not surprise me if the backlash continued and if he did ultimately not coach at Grambling because of how strong that reaction has been.
And obviously, Arkansas has a big connection to Art Briles due to the fact that his son, Kendall, is the OC at Arkansas. And I think that it was a little underwhelming. I kind of thought that during this last coaching carousel that there might have been a little bit more interest in Kendall. And I think eventually the school is going to, take a chance on him and make him their head coach. But is the Art factor of, well, what if he wants to bring his dad along? Can that affect, Kendall Briles' coaching future and his potential of getting a head coach? Or do you think most people are able to separate the two or kind of just say, hey, if you do come, dad doesn't come with you?
Yeah, there's going to have to be some sort of agreement there. And look, Kendall Briles has his hands dirty in this thing. And if you want to look back at the Pepper Hamilton, the findings there, it wasn't exactly flattering of the Arkansas offensive coordinator, and I'll leave it at that, which in my opinion is kind of why I'm not surprised at all that Power 5 programs aren't exactly lining up for his services. Having said that, he has been very good at what he has done, and he has been able to build himself into one of the better offensive minds in the sport. I think that you're more likely looking at a situation moving forward with him where maybe a desperate Group of 5 program would want to hire him. I don't know if that's the route that he wants to go. I don't know what his future holds or what he aspires to be. I imagine he aspires to be a Power 5 head coach. I also realize that he was in a different type of role in this, and the Art Briles being the person who was running this program and had these decisions to be able to make. And it's his responsibility to report X, Y, and Z to authorities and to follow Title IX protocols, to actually have Title IX protocols to follow. Like, all these different things come back to the head coach, of course. But it's going to be an awkward situation moving forward. And I think maybe a program that does eventually hire Kendall Briles will wait. But I would not also be surprised if we saw some sort of, we won't see, but if there was some sort of agreement behind closed doors of, hey, you can't hire your dad. We just can't have that right now.
Well, I want to ask about one of the it would be really interesting to see, by the way, when I saw Art Briles is going to speak with one reporter, I think a television reporter in Shreveport, about the hire. And I don't know when that'll happen, but I'm assuming it'll happen.
It happened.
It has already happened, so I've got to go back and
Yes,
watch
yes,
that.
it happened. And they didn't put out a release because if you put out a release, then you're just going to get dunked on. Southern Miss put out a release when they said that they were going to be interviewing Art Briles as an offensive coordinator back in 2018, and Jay Hobson banged the drum for him. But the reaction was so strong to that they couldn't even go forward with the interview. And so that's why they ultimately had a TV station try and tell this story instead of coming out with their own release to say that we have hired Art Briles as our new offensive coordinator.
Okay. I want to ask about one player that Kendall will be trying to utilize this year. You wrote about Jaden Hasselwood amongst 5 players in the SEC who could be dominant one-and-dones in 2022. You know, how close do you think Hasselwood can get to the 1,100 receiving yards and the 11 touchdowns from Traylon Burks?
I think any hope that he's going to be Traylon Burks 2.0 is unfair. I get why it's being made, and there is a massive hole in terms of production that needs to be filled. And ideally, he would step in and be a number one guy. But I feel like you're preparing yourself to be disappointed if you think he's going to be that guy. I think some of the characteristics that we saw from Traylon earlier in his career suggested that he was always going to step into a role like what he ultimately became as a junior. And in my opinion, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better receiver in the history of the program than what he was able to bring to the table. But, you know, you talk about this move and why it's significant. You need somebody that can just go win you 50-50 battles. That's what he's going to bring to the table. All right, like this is somebody who, if you go back and you watch his highlights, what he did at Oklahoma, it wasn't necessarily this unbelievable ability to get separation. It's kind of just having his quarterback's trust and being able to go up and make plays, which explains why the production really wasn't there once Spencer Rattler didn't figure it out. And once they're like, all right, you got to stop taking the chances that you are, and he kind of got in his own head a little bit, he didn't really take off. But there is an opportunity there, and he needs to step up and be that guy. KJ needs a go-to. All right, like that's something that I think has become abundantly clear. He needed a go-to in watching him in the Outback Bowl and some of those situations, but luckily for Arkansas, the running game was really, really good that day. I think if Arkansas is going to take that next step, it's going to be developing that connection, and I think we'll see a big, big year. 1,000-yard receiving season is on the table, I think, but maybe let's just hold off on the Traylon Burks comps for the meantime until he establishes himself.
Connor, always appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, and your honesty, of course, is at the top of the list. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it,
Absolutely, appreciate it, guys.
Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara, or just go to SaturdayDownSouth.com. We got all the stuff right there. I kind of think there might be some growth coming from some of the younger receivers too. Keytron, Jackson, Jaquaylin Crawford, Bryce Stevens. So I mean, there's no doubt you need you need a go-to receiver, and Hasselwood, from all reports, is a go-to receiver. But there's also some growth that we don't talk about from the younger receivers, like Keytron Jackson Jr., like Jaquaylin Crawford, like Bryce Stevens. So, you know, that's one of the things. Last year it was Traylon Burks and his group of buddies of the wide receivers. There's one guy that you knew you could count on. Somebody could step a little bit into that void next year that isn't necessarily Jaden Hasselwood. 877-377-6963 as we wrap up the first hour of Monday right after this.
The Fence Man, the company you can trust when it comes to building quality fencing and gates, is looking for quality people. Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit, is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacale.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouth. Some serious crappie. Nice speck.
We got crappie.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite. White perch, slab, sockeye, papermouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
The phrase in dire straits originated in the 1400s from sailors having to carefully navigate their vessels through narrow passages to avoid a shipwreck. So Far Away from Dire Straits is a song lamenting the struggle of a long-distance relationship over the phone. Mark Knopfler said, "It's a joke. It can't really be done over a long period of time because you both get exhausted with it. Sin has put us in dire straits with God, and that's why he feels so far away." Jesus said the passage to God is a narrow way, and he promised when he went so far away, the Holy Spirit would be here to stay. This isn't some hunch or intuition, but a conviction navigating you to God's holy word. When you have a real relationship with God, you have the person of the Spirit living inside you, guiding your walk of life every step of the way. Don't trust your feelings. Look up John chapter 16 and see if it sends you reeling. I'm Pastor Heath from Woodland. Read about it.
Football might be over this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pros and college hoops. For all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's promo code BLEAV. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage, is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Check out Josh Abbott Band this Thursday and Tanner Usry this Friday at the Majestic. For information, go to majesticfortsmith.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett. Want to jump in the conversation with the guys? Call or text into Halftime at 877-377-6963.
A couple of callers on hold who have used that very same phone number to do what you might be able to do too. So we got a short segment. Let's hit on the phones right here. Matt is first up. Matt, you're on Halftime. What's going on?
Hey, not much. How about you? How about you there, Phil?
The sun's bright, man. I'm happy. Nothing to complain about today, though. If you ask me tomorrow, maybe I'll find something.
I got you, man. I just wanted to catch you guys while I could here. I'm on one of the main parade routes in Uptown New Orleans, and for some main parades tonight, the day before Mardi Gras.
Nice, man. I mean, you got me.
Perfect place to be.
Got a lot of envy on you right now.
Yeah.
Ton of envy on you.
Yeah.
New Orleans used to be a place we'd visit every year. Sun Belt basketball tournament, UALR versus New Orleans. When I did UALR games, I haven't seen the Crescent City in I don't remember when. Bums me out.
Yeah, it's beautiful weather today, and then close out Mardi Gras tomorrow. But it's been awesome stuff, man. Especially with the Hogs kicking some butt above Walton, and a good Round Rock Classic by the Diamond Hogs. And I'm just like, man, can't wait to see them in April versus LSU.
Man, you got that right. But that's in Fayetteville. Yeah, they won the series at the Box last season. So, hey, Matt, well, appreciate the phone call, man. We got another one on hold, and we'll go to take that. Thanks for bragging on being there for Mardi Gras.
Yeah,
man.
Appreciate you rubbing it in.
Robert in Bull Shoals is up next. Hey, Robert, what's happening?
Hey, Phil,
got a statement for you. First, let me congratulate the Hogs in baseball, track and field for the championships, and the ladies for winning on Sunday. But I got kind of a little bone to pick with you. On Saturday, that was a great atmosphere. It was really, really good. But I don't think that compares to the 2004 team that when the Texas Longhorns came into Fayetteville, and the Texas fans were yelling they don't want it, and we were just kicking the crap out of them. Won the game, I think, by 25 points. And then you go back to the 93, 94, and the 94, 95 season, national championship and the national runner-up. I mean, come on, that atmosphere in those years was by far better than what we saw Saturday. But it was great Saturday, and I enjoyed it, and I thank the Razorbacks for all the entertaining games this season.
Okay, appreciate it, Robert. All I said was the best atmosphere I've been inside.
Yeah,
I didn't say that that's the best ever, but I wasn't there for it, so I'd have to take your word for it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to come at there, Robert. Not going to say it wasn't loud, it wasn't deafening in Bud Walton Arena in the 90s or the early 2000s, but neither of us were here. We weren't following this program like we are today. Neither of us. Had you ever been to a game at Bud Walton? When was the first time you went to a game at Bud Walton?
First game I went to in Bud Walton was the first game I called in Bud Walton.
See?
It was a women's basketball game. Yeah.
So we don't go all the way back to 33 decades ago.
That's right. I mean, look, I sent one of the audio captures from a hog call to a dyed-in-the-wool Razorback fan that I've been friends with since I moved to the state. He lives in Seattle now. Sent it to him. Nathan Christian. Some of you may remember him from radio in Little Rock. And he texted back, he's like, man, that's what it used to sound like almost every game when this program was rolling. Well, guess what?
It's rolling
The program's rolling now, and it's going to sound like that on Saturdays and big games for the foreseeable future. And ain't that a good thing to be a part of? Can also be a part of halftime if you give us a call. 877-377-6963. Texts work, too. And Hacker with a great text. I'm not going to say anything about it, but Hacker, appreciate that. We'll be right back.
It is here, fast, reliable internet from Wave Rural Connect. Cedarville, Uniontown, Natural Dam, and surrounding areas get fast fiber internet, TV, and phone service from a local provider you can trust based in Ozark, Arkansas. Internet starts at $49.95 a month, TV at $43.99, and phone at $29.95. Order now at signup.waveruralconnect.com or call 1-833-492-8372. Do it now. Arkansas Valley Electric and Wave Rural Connect, changing the communities we serve.
For a limited time, Art's Barbecue and Burgers is serving up some great combo platters with all your favorite choices from Art's. Ribs and brisket, catfish and brisket, pulled pork and brisket, plus catfish and ribs. And you can add a hot link, sausage, or 2 tamales to any of the combo platters. Make your combo plate any way you want it to be. And don't forget, every Friday night is all-you-can-eat catfish at Art's. Art's Barbecue and Burgers, Rogers Avenue next to Buddy's in Fort Smith. Real smoked barbecue.
With over 40 years combined experience, the team at the law offices of Craig L. Cook understand the definition of work. Real work. Working for you. Whether you've been injured in an auto accident, on the job, a victim of nursing home negligence, or need help navigating bankruptcy, Social Security, wills, trusts, estates, or family law issues, Craig Cook will go to work for you. Call us today, 479-783-8000. The law offices of Craig L. Cook, with locations in Arkansas and Oklahoma. We work for working people.
After I drop the kids off, I have to run across town for a meeting, hit the gym during lunch. Jake has soccer tonight, and Emily has gymnastics? Oh, did I turn on the crock pot this morning?
With a never-ending to-do list, it's easy to forget something important, like setting up a life insurance plan with Shelter Insurance. Your local Shelter agent can show you how to create a safety net for your family. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
Ask Wade Gilkey in Fort Smith about Shelter's home insurance.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith, owner of Dixie Digital Imaging. Would printing from your phone or tablet make your life easier? Are you emailing files to yourself so that you can print them from your desktop or laptop? The Xerox VersaLink and AltaLink lines of network printers and multifunction printers will natively print using your phone's built-in capabilities. Apple AirPrint and Google Cloud Printing just work. To order yours today, give us a call at 783-6600 or visit dixiedigital.com. Dixie Digital Imaging, bringing document innovations to the River Valley.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
For today, sunshine. Our high today will be in the lower 60s, mainly clear sky tonight. Though, high low right around 35 degrees. Tuesday, lots of sunshine. Our high in the mid to upper 60s. Wednesday, sunny skies. Our high will be just over 70. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outside fun this year. Call Mosquito Joe to keep your yard mosquito-free. Call 479-202-9960 or visit ArkansasMosquitoJoe.com.
Good station.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Bushlight Studios on ESPN 95.3. Live from the Bushlight Studios.
I love Arkansas. I love everything here. Give me that thing here.
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
And this one belongs to the Razorbacks.
Streaming live from
HitThatLine.com.
Fans are amazing. It is lit down here on the sideline.
This is Halftime with Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious...
Here come the students. Oh, here come the students. They're coming from the south end, and this one has been a long time brewing.
I have been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Judging by the sound of it, so has everyone else.
Hey, hold on. It's almost halftime.
Monday, Friday, whatever it is, continues on Halftime. Lots to get to with no guests in hour number 2. Done a ton of talking about Arkansas beating number 6 Kentucky. Hogs are now the 14th ranked team in the country, according to the Associated Press. In the rankings that matter, they're 23rd in the net. That puts them squarely behind Alabama, also behind LSU, also behind Auburn, Tennessee, and Kentucky. But you just knew that going in. And so you still have games against 2 higher teams in the rankings than you have. So it's gonna slide its way up.
And it's not like you're sitting, 30 spots behind those teams either. I mean, still your net's great. It's going to guarantee you a spot in the tourney. So I really wouldn't worry about it. I think it's just, regardless of what fan base or what team or even what sport, if you tell a team they're number 5, they all automatically think they should be top 4. If you tell them they're the second best team, well, no, you're disrespecting them, and they deserve to be number 1. So, you're never going to make everybody happy. Just, it is what it is, though.
Can I do a little mind-blowing for you here?
Please do.
Just for a moment before we take the phone call, you can be a part of the show at 877-377-6963. So Arkansas's women's team that beat Mississippi State yesterday has a 17-12 record.
Yes.
The men, let me pull out my number here, 23-6. So the men have 6 more wins, 6 fewer losses. Arkansas's women's team net ranking 32, and the men 23.
Strength of schedule, though.
Well, of course,
much better strength of schedule.
That's exactly right. So it's one of those things you would think. A differential in 6 wins and losses would be more of than a differential of 9 spots in the net ranking. But that does show you really how strong women's basketball is in the SEC this year, and how I think the SEC men's league is a little more top heavy. Probably the best way to put it.
And I mean, when it comes to net, and who gets in the tournament, if record doesn't always mean. You're in. I mean, we had a 15-11 Rutgers team make the tournament last year, which I think is a little bit ridiculous, but you go back and look at that resume, just kind of like they're doing right now. A lot of great wins, some troubling losses, but it seems like the good just barely outweighs the bad, and they're going to end up getting in once again.
I don't want to have a full conversation here about net ranking and stuff like that. But do you remember last year's net rankings when Fairfield, that played just a conference schedule and nobody else? Were they were in the top 5 like most of the season in the net rankings?
Yeah,
this is just funny to follow, really funny to follow. All right, we got a caller on hold, and this is one of the more important people on the show, and we didn't have him with us on Friday because Charlie was burying his grandfather, and we heard about that the day after his passing. And it's great to have you back with us, Charlie, especially on a Monday as you kick the week off with us. How did Friday go, and how are you doing?
Man, I'll tell you what, Friday was a blessing, to be honest. It was actually every funeral that I went to, and we actually just did a burial. You know, they're telling people that's what they need to do, you know, with the COVID and all that. We just did like a burial graveside thing. But, you know, the preacher talked, you know, for about 20 minutes, and it was so cold out there. It was like so cold and windy, but it was so happy and peaceful out there. It was, honestly, and that's how he would want it, because that's how my granddad was. He's actually a legend in Camden. One of the liquor stores, a lot of people would say that. One of the liquor stores named Charlie's Liquor in Camden. It obviously came from him, so he made it. So a lot of people know my granddad, and it was happy, it was peaceful, and I appreciate you guys for thinking about me and allowing me to talk about it. And that was the happiest, like I said, funeral I've ever been to, and it wasn't happy in a good way is what I mean. Anyway, I just want to talk about the game the other day, guys, and actually did not click on to the game until it was 21-11. Arkansas was ahead, and I don't know what happened before that, but I can tell you what happened after that. What a game. I expected it to come down to the wire. One thing this team continues to impress me with, you know, they're not a team that we're not built to really, you know, just blow people out of the water. You know, we blew out Missouri and Georgia, but, you know, I think because we don't shoot as well at times, but we're so good defensively that, you know, we're never going to be out of a game. I didn't think we played as great a defense the other day from the standpoint of just they shot 45% and 60% in the second half, but I still think the game plan, they followed it because it's like they just didn't want to give up three balls. And, you know, you only give up 3 threes, and Muss is okay with that. You know, Seaway dominated, but, hey, you know, that's part of it. And, you know, he got some calls in there, too. I thought the two-man game with J.D. and J. Will towards the end of the game, you know, getting Seaway, you know, out of the paint a little bit with the pick and pop, and J. Will being able to take him off the bounce. You know, J. Will, something that I don't know if you guys agree, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I think he's the most versatile big man in this league, just from the standpoint of he pretty much can do everything at this point well. Now, is he great at anything yet? Great at taking charges, great at rebounding, you know, and he's going to continue. His ceiling, I was thinking about it the other day, this kid's just going to, because he puts in the work, he's going to keep getting better. And I think he's the most versatile big man in this league because he can put the ball on the floor. He just does everything. And he's going to continue to get better everywhere else. And obviously JD was great, but every player that played the other day, you know, pitched in. You know, Devo with the clutch free throws. And, you know, I don't think Likes played that much, but Kamani Johnson, one of the biggest plays in the game. I think Kentucky might get a rebound or something, and he taps the ball away and kicks it out to Amude for a three. Arguably one of the bigger plays of the game. And so everybody's pitching in, and it's special to watch. The team doesn't get rattled, you know, when the game gets tight down the stretch anymore. And, you know, these guys, you know, the funny thing is we always talk about them not making threes. They find a way to make threes when the game gets tight, and I'll give them credit for that. Guys, I appreciate you for having me on. Y'all have a great day.
Charlie, it's always good to hear.
Appreciate it, Tuna.
Always good. I think Jalen Williams is an elite defender. I don't think you're going to be good at taking charges unless you know how to defend in the paint, and it's
know how to get your body squared.
Footwork, you know, where to be at the right time, and that there's a talent attached to that. There's just an overall, just like a knowledge of what you're doing. And I remember when Jalen was recruited to Arkansas, and you would read about him, and people would call him an old soul, which for a high schooler says something.
It does.
I don't know how many other lives Jalen has lived, but he's an old soul basketball-wise. And usually, Drew, if you're an old soul in basketball, then you know how to use your feet, you know how to play defense, you know how to take a charge, and just all those little things that lead to being a really good defender in the interior.
You do, and it also just kind of says something about you being a team player, not to have that new age AAU basketball mentality that we see in a lot of guys. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I think the game has evolved to where you do need, you know, flashy scores type of players on your team to have success. I mean, that's what JD Note is. But when you come to the style and play of Jalen Williams, it is more of a defense, pass, then shoot. Instead of, shoot, pass, defense, which is the way a lot of guys kind of look at the three main aspects of the game.
We got a text that wants to pay some homage here to Fort Smith Northside because Isaiah Joe also was a good taker of charges, just like Jalen is. So maybe you learn that when you're when you playing at Fort Smith Northside.
Must be something in the water.
It's
there.
in something in the water in Fort Smith, which means it should be something in the water across the state because they're drinking out of the same river, man. Very same river, pretty sure of it.
So when I go play basketball this week, I should just stay in the lane and see how many charges I can take?
Well, first go down to the river and take a big, healthy gulp.
Okay.
Just put your mouth on the river and suck it all in. And
Don't
see
need
what
to
that
filter
does
it
for
out
you.
or anything, boil the water?
Oh, no, you gotta do that.
It's clean.
It's clean. They call it clean water, man. It's called fresh water.
Exactly.
What do you think you need? You've got an immune system to take care of everything else in there.
Exactly. And I'm sure my immune system has seen every little bit of bacteria that could be in that river. Then I'll be sure not to call you when I'm puking and it's coming out of both ends.
Jackson makes the point here, and so why is Arkansas's net ranking where it is when they are right now the hottest team in the SEC? It's because of the non-conference schedule. It really is. It's as simple as that. A loss to Hofstra and a loss to Oklahoma and, wins against people that don't necessarily have these big-time net rankings either. So there you go. I mean, I know Must says, and I'll also say, I have not kept up with how every other team that Arkansas played against this year has done. I remember last year, you ended up with a lot of teams on your non-conference schedule that when you were playing them, it's like, all right, who are we playing today? A lot of those teams ended up in the tournament. And it makes sense. It makes sense to schedule teams like that early in the season because in the first round and in the second round sometimes, you're playing teams from those leagues anyway. So it does make sense at that time, but it is, for me, that's the reason that the net ranking is not up in the teens, where I think for most of our listeners it should be, but it can't be because you take the entire season into account, not just what's happened the last 6 weeks.
Yes, you have to take in the non-conference strength of schedule, which was bad. I mean, you think back to that Kansas City tournament, and I can tell you what, Cincinnati hasn't panned out. K-State had a few good weeks where it looked pretty good, but they're not panning out very well. Either down the stretch. So those two wins, which I think were quad one at the time, definitely aren't quad one type of wins now. And you have to take into the effect of losing to Hofstra. You got to take in the fact of when you lost to OU, probably was a quad one win, but then OU decided they were going to lose 14 of the next 16 games. So you got to take it as a broad picture. And there was somebody who texted in this morning who was kind of complaining about net ranking and complaining about why the national media wants to say that Arkansas didn't play anybody in non-conference and basically said that was ridiculous. Well, it's not ridiculous. They didn't play anybody. I mean, they did not have a very strong strength of schedule. That's the reason why, even though they keep beating the teams in front of them now that are quad one, when you factor in everything that the net ranking does, a win – it's not going to move you up so much because you're having to drag that strength of schedule anchor around with you.
Now we're getting stories here about the water in Fort Smith and some of the water in Fort Smith Northside, and there's no reason to repeat any of that stuff. So the net rankings are what they are. It has nothing to do with how you're playing right now. It's not going to keep you out of the tournament. If it costs you a spot in the seeding, that's the scheduling aspect of it. But I also not sure if I see the scheduling philosophy from Eric Musselman's program to change very much. Right now, I didn't change a darn thing about how they're doing things. 877-377-6963 on halftime. We are brought to you by our friends at Pradco Fishing Lures. Remember, if you're fishing for cold water bass on Beaver Lake or Table Rock, you're fishing for a trophy brown on the Mighty White, make sure you've got the Smithwick Original Suspending Rattling Rogue in your tackle box. Has the famous rolling action, whether it's fished extremely slow or worked fast in heavy current. And this Rogue suspends. It'll stay in that strike zone longer, and you can catch more fish. The Smithwick Original Suspending Rattling Rogue is available at Walmart, Bass Pro Shops, Academy, LearNet.com, and tackle stores all over the place. Halftime continuing after a quick break. Has anybody seen if baseball's decided whether or not they want to play a game this year yet? Today's supposed to be a deadline. Otherwise, we're having canceled games. So let's just count on the canceled games.
I don't know, Phil. I'm starting to get a little bit more optimistic. I mean, you hear the news of Derek Jeter, and maybe it doesn't have anything to do with the decision and everything, but who knows? Maybe we could get it in.
I have more
trying to be optimistic
faith
here
in Vladimir Putin becoming an American citizen other than baseball starting on time. Stay with us.
This logo. We have to play for 40 minutes tonight to represent this.
Tony with the offensive rebound and a two-hand flush.
You cannot take anything for granted, guys.
Trapp handles it out front against Note. Jalen Williams flashes for the steal and throws it down with two hands.
This game is going to take 40 minutes of as hard as you've ever played all year long.
Listen to every Razorback basketball game right here on ESPN 95.3 and hitthatline.com.
Ashley Air is a proud sponsor of Razorback Athletics. Heat up your home with a free furnace when you purchase a qualifying new system from Ashley Air. And till February 28th. Get no down payment, no interest for 72 months on qualifying systems. And the Ashley Air Quality Assurance Guarantee, their 12-year parts and labor warranty. Get a free furnace when you purchase a new system from Ashley Air. Just go to AshleyAir.com to schedule your appointment. That's AshleyAir.com.
COVID-19 cases are spreading across the state. Safe, effective, and free COVID vaccines are now readily available for all Arkansans ages 5 and up. Booster shots are also available for fully vaccinated people 12 and above. The vaccines are highly effective at preventing severe COVID. That means helping keep you from being hospitalized or even dying. Get vaccinated to protect yourself, your family, and your community. Learn more at healthy.arkansas.gov. This message brought to you by the Arkansas Department of Health.
Spring crappie season is not far away, and Jelco Outdoors is stocked up on all the fishing gear you need for the spring season. Timmy Tom jigs, Redneck Rubber, and Bobby Garland baits, K9 fishing line, Todd Huckabee rods, Shimano, Luz, Zebco, and Abu Garcia reels. Just arrived, the all-new JB3 American-made rods. Get ready for spring fishing at Jelco Outdoors, your store for work and the great outdoors. Shop local. Shop Jelco Outdoors, 4600 South Zero in Fort Smith.
It's Tango Day, everybody. Follow after me. And step, and back, and slide, and dip. That's tango.
Why is Ice-T leading our tango class?
It's probably the heart-shaped Honey Nut Cheerios. He found out they can help lower cholesterol. Now he's having fun taking care of his heart in all sorts of new ways.
Let's see those hips move, people.
Hurry and get your heart-shaped Cheerios. They're only here for a limited time.
Riley Farm Dental, at the entrance to Riley Farms, provides every type of dental care and procedures for you and your family. From general dentistry, braces, implants, and cosmetics, Dr. Bo Sparkman and Dr. Brogan give all of their patients better lives with a better smile, more confidence, and a comfortable experience every time. Riley Farm Dental, 5901 Riley Park Drive, Suite A, at the entrance to Riley Farms. Call 226-3500 for an appointment or visit RileyFarmDental.com.
It's time to stop searching and start driving. Between February 16th and March 7th, get $70 reward card or virtual account after online submission. With the purchase of 4 new Michelin passenger or light truck tires, including the Michelin Cross Climate 2 tire. See MichelinMan.com for complete details. Offer expires March 7th, 2022. Void where prohibited.
Come see us at Southern Tire Mart, just off I-540 exit 14 in Fort Smith today for quality tires and the best-in-class service. Get where you need to be with Michelin and Southern Tire Mart.
Standard Materials Group has immediate openings for ready-mix drivers in the Northwest Arkansas area. If you have a CDL license without an automatic restriction and want to be home every night, want to work with a company that offers great pay, benefits, and a great team environment with growth opportunities, apply today at jobs.crh.com. Again, that's jobs.crh.com. Standard Materials Group is an equal opportunity employer.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Took a 911 about 107 down a back road.
Make sure to follow Halftime on Twitter at HitThatLineAR and on Facebook and Instagram at HitThatLine. Follow the guys on Twitter at PhilElsonPXP, at Matt Travis, and at DBarrett36. Now, back to the guys. Here's Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
All right, so we got into it a little bit a moment ago. Why do you think Derek Jeter stepping down as the Miami Marlins CEO has much to do with what's going on with this, the idea that baseball might have an agreement today? Because I think he's the only former player that's running a team and as a CEO, not as a general manager or anything like that, but and part of the ownership group, and he was so public and front-facing, and he was going to be the guy that led the Marlins back to the promised land and all of that. But, man, it was just a big fat failure more than anything.
Yeah, it was a failure, and I think that his comments of saying that the direction of this team is a different direction than what I signed on for makes me think that he's not done with baseball. It makes me think that, there could be a possibility that he has another job in a front office role, maybe at a team that he possibly played for. And last time I checked, he only played for one team. And it kind of just, I guess, the optimist in me, why would you switch jobs if there's not going to be a season? So, I mean, it feels like that's kind of the route that he might be taking here. So it gives me hope that it will get done. But like I said last week, I also deep down don't think that we're going to get 162 games in. I said I think the number will be closer to 120 than anything. I don't think we probably do get started until May, which means that we've got a whole nother month of arbitration and of counter offers and offers this and offers that.
Well, and the thing is,
trying to figure it all out.
None of that stuff is interesting. I don't think
it's
anybody
not interesting. It's so boring to talk about.
I've been on the players' side from the very start, and I feel the owners are doing everything they possibly can to hide profits.
Of course.
And they've been doing that for years, but now there's an easier way to hide profits, and it's through these ballpark villages and developments and parking lots that are attached to stadiums. They're not really revenue streams that players
You've seen how
get any
expensive
piece
those
of.
things are, too? Like,
absolutely.
A one-bedroom apartment at the building that faces that's in Ballpark Village in St. Louis, I believe is like north of $5,000 a month. Like, it's insane.
I don't think baseball or any sports owner is doing something for a public good. It's not the reason why you buy a team. You buy a team because you got so much money,
you don't
barely know what to do with it. You have yourself a toy, and it's just printing money for you. The value of these franchises in every sport just skyrocket. So it turns into a flip. It turns into a house flip. Maybe you don't make money from the house, while it's happening, but then at the same time, these guys make money. There's no way that these teams can always lose money when they have made money by through technology. I learned the other day, and I knew MLB.com has been such an industry leader in video streaming for years. Video streaming. HBO, remember when HBO had like 2 or 3 different apps?
Yeah.
HBO built their apps off the backs of MLB.com. Like, they paid Major League Baseball Advanced Media to build their app for them. All right. Now, Disney has this app that we all have, Hulu,
yes.
ESPN Plus, Disney Plus. Who's got a 15% stake in that?
I'm guessing Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball does. Who gets the money from that?
The
owners get the money from that. Who doesn't have to report that as a revenue stream for daily operating income?
The owners.
The owners don't have to do that. They can hide these things.
They're pulling back the curtain, Phil.
They can lie about it. And so they can also act like putting $1 million into, I don't remember what it was, but an extra $1 million for a salary. It's not going to do a salary floor. They add an extra $1 million. It's like, all right.
You're still throwing out chump change.
They got $1 million in inside their thumbnail, for crying out loud. So I don't care about any of these details anymore, about the give and the take and about sitting down and bargaining. I'm all team players. The players have been screwed by owners for decades. Before free agency, they literally had no rights to choose where they were going to play, or they were to sit out a year. So go get yours, players. It's not billionaires versus millionaires either, by the way, because of.
I mean, a lot of these guys are 100,000-aires, more like it.
And it's also a much shorter lifespan as a career to earn that money than the owners who, make money until they die. I mean, we're rolling it over millions and millions and millions of dollars from whatever other businesses they built their empires off of, and the teams that they own. So I'm all about the players, man. I really am. And there was a point 110 years ago where the players tried to start their own league. Didn't work. Not going to work now, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not. And I'm with you. I don't know if anybody who is pro-owner, I don't know if anybody that sees Mr. Moneybags there that wipes his butt with $100 bills and is arguing over giving up to him just a few extra bucks. I mean, nobody is going to, even in this capitalistic economy that I think most of us enjoy and most of us, do make money off of and a good living, I don't think anybody is super team billionaire. Nobody is rooting for that interest. And the thing that hurts me as a baseball fan is the fact that the owners, you'd think that they'd get into owning a baseball team for the love of the game because they love baseball. They have the money and they love baseball, and they would have the best interests of baseball in heart. And it hurts that some people like us who love this game can't do anything about it. I think that so many people would love to be able to go in there and be like, look, this is what has to happen or you're ruining the game. And it's when you put profit over the game and over the fans that I think is what hurts so many people about this situation, because we're not going to get what we all love and what we look forward to and what we mark periods of our lives by. I mean, I mark not by months. I go by seasons. I go by football season, basketball season, baseball season, and then into football. I mean, I don't follow fall, winter, spring, and summer. I follow the 3 seasons of football, basketball, and baseball.
You know what? And you also pay your own rent.
Yeah.
If you built a house, you'd have to build it yourself.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be able to go
City's not helping me do that.
And I used to be all about the idea that, well, it's a public, people are going to these games, and it's public that are going to the games, and it's like a public trust when you have a team and all of that. So, sure, cities should build stadiums if the owners want that to be the case. I don't believe that anymore. Not $1 of that. I think that the stadiums probably should be built by the owners, or at
the
least
people that have the money who are making money off of it,
or at least they should have to put half the money down. Or this new stadium they're going to build in Oakland, California, potentially by the Bay for the Athletics. I think that's all coming. I think that's all coming from public money, but they're also going to put a ballpark village next door so the A's owners can make bank that doesn't go through the same channels as the revenue for the team. And so the players won't see any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, every one of these owners, like you talked about with the ESPN deal, the app stuff, they're making money. I will never believe that anybody loses a single dollar off of Major League Baseball, off of owning any team. I don't care if you report that you lost $10 million. You wouldn't be in a business if you keep losing $10 million a year. You don't become a billionaire by making dumb business decisions like that.
Well,
I don't believe it.
A smart business decision in this case would be like the 2 teams that we root for, Drew, the Orioles and the Pirates. They make millions of dollars from the luxury tax. How much of that money goes into payroll or into true player development? And it honestly goes into Bob Nutting's freaking pocket. He's the owner of the Pirates, and it just makes me sick. And so for those of you who
goes into
wondered,
Angelo's pocket too.
When I announce on this program, it's like I'm giving up my Pirates fandom. It's because this idiot he's not an idiot. He's obviously very smart. Is because he's putting profit over team and has been doing that from the start.
I'm with you. Peter Angelo is, I think, one of the worst owners of all-time history of just always trying to make an extra dollar and line his own pockets before putting the interests of a once proud baseball city first. I mean, he's won one, as the owner, the Orioles have won 1 division. 1. And he's been the owner for 20 plus years. That's not having the best interests of baseball and of your fan base and of the people who put that money in your pocket. If you, it just makes me, irks me, you know? Like, I can't even put it into words.
Well, let's go to Hognoxious
He'll
and
put it
see
into words for me.
if he's got something he can put into words for you. Hognoxious, good to see you at the last home game. I practiced my Hognoxious point to the umpire because I guess you got to do that when you take a picture with you. Did I pass the test?
You did well. That looked really good. Almost menacing.
Almost menacing. That's what Bubba's there for, to menace.
Baseball is such a wonderful game. What could it be if the Major League Baseball people that run it actually cared about the game? Goodness.
You're painting a picture that I think used to be around, but I don't see that picture.
I haven't seen that picture.
The football owners, all they care about is money too, but they're smart enough to at least not do things very often to try to destroy the game and actually want there to be games. You get the idea of these major league owners, they really prefer not to have a season and not have to spend any money.
Because they're making it regardless. They make money regardless of whether games get played off of merchandise, off of technology, off of ballpark villages now that are going to be operational regardless of whether there's a game going on in the stadium. The longer this lockout goes, the more they profit. And that's what sucks about this.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so at the first of the basketball season, I get a kick out of all these people that think Arkansas is being disrespected, and then when you ask them why, well, they're taking it out on us because we lost a Hofstra. No, and maybe taking it out on you, lost by 22 to a very average Oklahoma team. And maybe taking it out on you because you lost to Mississippi State and Texas A&M. But really, the stat this morning that of the top 4 seeds in the SEC, there is only one home loss, and it's Arkansas, and it's to Vanderbilt. And you just can't get away from the smell of losing to Vanderbilt at home.
And that one counts in all these rankings and in everybody's mind too. You're exactly right about that. And that was the law. I remember that was the law. Like, oh my gosh, what is going to go on here for the next couple of months? I know a lot of people after that game were sending in texts to our line about, is it baseball season yet? And it is the same team. It's the same team.
Same guys. They didn't switch jerseys with NBA players all of a sudden.
Don't worry about what the rankings show, because when it's all said and done, when March is finished, I have a very good feeling that we're going to have a lot of outstanding memories, and you're not going to be worrying about the rankings at that point anyway. If you need a new job, though, the Fence Man's got one for you. When it comes to building quality fences and gates, they're the best, but they've also got quality people they're looking to hire for the Fence Man team. Apply in person if you're a fence builder of building experience in Fort Smith at 1213 North 32nd Street. They offer great pay, and the Fence Man's got a $500 sign-on bonus for you. It's in person, 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. Fence Man's an equal opportunity employer. And halftime's back after this quick break.
Sports fans, sick of the Omicron and the coronavirus? Fed up? You've got the coronavirus blues, but baby, we have the cure. Wash your hands, sign up, and play with BUSR.com. At BUSR.com, you get everything. A casino, racebook, and sportsbook. Play blackjack, roulette, and over 200 casino games. Bet on sports, horses. Want more? How about a 100% deposit bonus exclusively for ESPN Arkansas listeners? Just go to BUSR.com/Morning Rush. That's BUSR.com/Morning Rush. BUSR, the cure for your coronavirus blues.
Hardworking simplicity and serious durability. That's the winning combination you get when you pair a rugged Workmaster utility tractor with a Dura-Disc heavy-duty disc mower, both from New Holland and Williams Tractor in Fayetteville, Berryville, and Bobcat of Northwest Arkansas. You'll maximize the tonnage of your hayfields by slicing a clean, close swath up to 10 foot 4 inches wide, all while operating in confidence and comfort with a Workmaster tractor with high visibility all-weather cab. Stop by Williams Tractor in Fayetteville, Berryville, and Bobcat of Northwest Arkansas today to learn about this unstoppable New Holland team.
Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer opens like every other seltzer, pours like every other seltzer, but it's not like every other seltzer. USDA certified organic, no added sugar, and low cal, so you've never seen another seltzer quite like it. And with new refreshing flavors like black cherry and watermelon strawberry, you've never tasted one like it either. Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, as real as it tastes. Enjoy responsibly, not a low-calorie food. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, IRC Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Live here at Randall Ford, 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. Billy, you guys have roughly about 200 pre-owned vehicles on the lot. With every single one of your pre-owns, it's a 150-point safety inspection.
And if they don't pass inspection, they don't get out on our used lot, so they're top-notch, some of the nicest cars in the area.
Come by and see us again, Randall Ford, 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. You can always check us out online at randallford.com.
Law's Drug Store in Fort Smith now has vaccinations available for ages 5 and up. Law's Drug Store has the Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna vaccines. These vaccines are safe and effective in preventing severe cases of COVID. Call 452-6116 to schedule your appointment or stop by Law's Drug Store, 6802 Rogers Avenue behind Outback Steakhouse. Law's Drug Store, opens 6 days a week to safely care for you and your family.
I told you that front tire needed air.
I know, Dad.
Where's the tire iron? I told you, always keep a tire iron and a jack.
I know, Dad. I got it. Roadside assistance is included with my shelter insurance auto policy. It's one of the reasons you told me to get it, remember?
Maybe you do listen after all.
At Shelter, listening to you is what we do best.
Ask Shelter agents Randy Milam or Brad Howe about a free insurance review.
Start the new year at Joe's Grill and Cantina. Joe's Grill and Cantina has daily specials like Mexicali Monday with 2 of your favorite sides, Taco Tuesdays with crispy tacos just $1 each, and don't forget everyone's favorite Fajita Fridays. And watch every Hogs game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every televised game. The best Tex-Mex in town is at Joe's Grill and Cantina, 3400 South 74th Street, across from Harps.
Whether you are visiting one of Arkansas's beautiful national parks, or traveling, or maybe just living the RV lifestyle, Breeden RV has everything you'll need to make your trip a successful one. We have new travel trailers starting at just $158 a month, all the way up to Class A, B, and C motorhomes, and fifth wheels from all the names you know and trust: Thor, Forest River, Coachman, Keystone, and more. Check out the great selection of pre-owned inventory, and we are actively looking to buy your RV as well. BreedenRVs.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Love and happiness. But wait a minute, something's going wrong. Someone's on the phone, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Find us on 99.5 and 1290 in Northwest Arkansas, 95.3 in Fort Smith in the River Valley, 96.3 in Hot Springs and Central Arkansas, 104.3 in Harrison and Mountain Home, and everywhere on hitthatline.com. Now, back to the guys. Here's Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
All right, I did not get my eyes on baseball this weekend.
I did not.
I was not paying the $30 for a subpar telecast from Flow Sports.
I heard it even went out at one point.
I heard the same thing. Maybe you get a little bit of a refund.
That's funny. Refunds.
That's hilarious. I did listen a little bit, but, we had basketball to worry about. Are we worried about winning 2 out of 3 and losing to the ranked team in Stanford with a lefty that apparently shoved? I know Arkansas did have a couple of bases-loaded opportunities, couldn't capitalize on them. The men left on base. It's a bit of an issue. They left on 9 in the win over Louisiana, 8 runners stranded against Stanford, and he really didn't have many opportunities to score except I think those 2 bases-loaded chances, held to 3 hits, and then stranded 10 in the opening win over Indiana. I know Dave hasn't been all that happy about the way the bats have swung, but you're still 4-2, and you got good starting pitching outside of the one start from Hagen Smith. From what I read from Dave, couldn't get the changeup where he wanted it to go, which says a lot about Stanford's hitters, that they could key on that fastball and turn it around a little bit. Bullpen looked good, though, I think the entire weekend. And Cole Ramage gets another couple of nice outings. I'll take the 2 out of 3. You certainly would have loved to go 3-0, and like you did last year at the Ranger Stadium. But a loss to Stanford is nothing to, really hang your head about. I think that's a really, really good Stanford team. But I do share a little bit of the concerns about Arkansas not necessarily hitting terrifically just yet.
It'll wake up. The bats are going to wake up. I don't think anybody thinks that this is a precursor of what's going to happen all season long, right? I mean, there's just too much talent in that lineup to where the bats are gonna wake up. Now, you hope they wake up sooner rather than later, but the next portion of your schedule, especially the next 2 to 3 weekends, plenty of time there to wake them up, build up some confidence before you head into SEC play. And I think just another weekend shows that pitching is better than we thought.
I like seeing that Jackson Wiggins went 6 innings and 91 pitches. I really like seeing that. And I don't like the term quality start, but 6 innings, 3 runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, not bad.
Not terrible.
Not bad at all. So, you still are getting innings from your starters. Connor Nolan's giving you 2 starts of 5 or 6 innings. Jackson did the same thing. Hagan gave you one of those starts. So right now the pitching looks solid, and Arkansas is just striking out a lot of strikeouts. 15 strikeouts against Stanford, 13 strikeouts against Louisiana, only 6 against Indiana. But I know Arkansas is averaging well over, I think it's about 11, maybe 12 strikeouts per game. Jesse says no concerns with the baseball team, a long season. Absolutely.
What was the strikeout average last season? Because then last year they set a record for both home runs and strikeouts. So am I right?
That's right. It was strikeouts per game.
Strikeouts per game.
It was over 9 strikeouts per game, and also set the team record for home runs in a season. Of course, these two things are supposed to go together. Calvert asks, is Cole Ramage going to be our closer like Cops? I will say this until I am proved otherwise. There will never be another pitcher, another season like Kevin Cops. But I think Ramage, he kind of profiles a little bit like Kevin did without the Tommy John surgery. He's been around for 4 years. He has done some starting. He's done some relieving. He's done long relief. And that's exactly what you saw from Kevin Cops. I think also the repertoire between the two of them was somewhat similar. Ramage, slider guy. Kevin threw more of a 4-seamer and not necessarily the 2-seamer. But the fact that they utilized the slider as much as they did, I can understand why you'd want to make that comparison. And is he going to just be the closer? Right now, that's the guy Dave's going to in late inning situations, not just for an inning, but 3 innings or 4 innings in the case of the first weekend. So, yes, right now, and it doesn't mean it's going to be the case in 2 or 3 weeks, but, this is what I meant when we brought this up a month ago. You have all these roles that are open for the pitching staff, every single one of them. And the guys that get the opportunity to be the Friday starter, like Connor Nolan, or be a left-handed guy to come out of the bullpen like you saw from Nick Griffin yesterday, or to be the closer, which for the Razorbacks could be pitching the 9th inning or pitching the last 3 or 4 innings. You have an opportunity early in the season to take that role and grab it with both hands and put it in your pocket and make it yours. So Cole's the first guy to get that opportunity to be the closer. And I think he has kind of grabbed it with 2 hands right now. And we'll see what happens against Southeastern Louisiana this weekend.
Yeah, we will definitely see how well he's able to hold on to it. And you hope that, this isn't just a blimp. This is more of what he's going to be throughout the rest of the season. I agree with you. I don't know if there will ever be another Kevin Cops for not just of what he meant to a team in a single season, but the productivity that he was able to give you and be able to come in at any different situation. Wasn't just a setup guy, wasn't just a closing guy. I mean, he could set him up, he could knock him down, he could start him, as we saw at the end of the season. I mean, he was a guy that could give you 1 inning or 8 innings. And to put that kind of pressure and that level on anybody, I think is just, it's too much to ask. And I think that Dave Van Horn has shown that while there's a kind of understanded structure of how you're supposed to build a staff, right? You're supposed to have a starter that goes, 5 to 6. And then you got your setup 1 inning guys, whether that's a 1 or 2 or even possibly 3 guys that you kind of rotate through of just get me 3 outs, move on to the next guy, and then you have the traditional closer in the last inning. I think Dave has shown that he'll have any type of mix of what's working. He's not set to the traditional pitching staff system. That if he can get 5 from one guy and then 4 from another, he's going to do that. If he can only get 4 from one guy and 3 from another and then 2 and then an inning each out of 3, that's what he's going to do. So regardless of how this pitching staff works its way out, it's going to work itself out to the best possible option that the Razorbacks have.
All I know is Arkansas didn't lose their first game last year until March 14th. It was 3 weeks before the first loss. So, it's, if you look at their 2 losses in the first 2 weekends.
Oh, no.
That's still 2 out of 3. Still 2 out of 3 in Meatloaf.
It ain't bad.
BE, by the way, texted in. It's a blip, not a blimp. I wasn't going to say anything, but BE put it on the text line, so that leaves it wide open for us.
I mean, come on, it happens. I heard a guy on
a
national.
Blimp is considerably larger than a blip.
Yes, I know, but it's only separated by 1 letter. I heard a guy yesterday on ESPN radio say, "Can he keep the water afloat?" While somebody else, it's talking about Devin Booker. Can Devin Booker keep the water afloat? Last time I checked, it was, can you keep the boat afloat?
Hey,
how does water float? So I'm not the only person in this business that makes mistakes, okay?
Next time he refers to the word Zeppelin on the broadcast here, then we got a problem. 877-377-6963. Halftime to come back and put a cherry on the top after this. I want to remind you, though, about Joe's Grill and Cantina. We got lots going on at Joe's this week because you got Razorback basketball, Razorback baseball, and anytime they've got a Razorback event on the Teeves, you get half-price apps and taps at Joe's Grill and Cantina. Makes me so excited. My voice gets a little scratchy there for a moment. Yeah. And it's Monday, so they got Mexicali with 2 sides for $10. That's a chicken breast topped with sauteed spinach, poblano cream sauce, and queso fresco cheese, and 2 cheese enchiladas topped with salsa especial. $5 for the ultimate margaritas, and the swirls is $2. That's at Joe's Grill and Cantina. You can go to joesfortsmith.com, order right there. You can also use the Waiter app, or just give them a visit across from Harps. All right, putting the cherry on the top of halftime, just like Joe's will on your favorite drink if you ask them nicely. So stay with us.
Nobody has more pre-owned trucks than Harry Robinson's Salasol 4. Work trucks, heavy-duty 4-wheel drive trucks, single cab, Tommy Kraft here. When it came time for new gates and some fence repairs at my home, the Fence Man was my first call. The Fence Man does it all, from large commercial jobs to small residential repairs. Wood privacy fence, vinyl fence, commercial or residential chain link, even custom wrought iron fencing. 479-782-3936. 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit is now available. If it involves fencing, the Fence Man does it. The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. 479-782-3936.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouth.
Some serious crappie. Nice speck.
We got crappies.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite white perch, slab, sacalé, paper mouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
The phrase "in dire straits" originated in the 1400s from sailors having to carefully navigate their vessels through narrow passages to avoid a shipwreck. So Far Away from Dire Straits is a song lamenting the struggle of a long-distance relationship over the phone. Mark Knopfler said, "It's a joke. It can't really be done over a long period of time because you both get exhausted with it. Sin has put us in dire straits with God, and that's why he feels so far away. Jesus said the passage to God is a narrow way, and he promised when he went so far away, the Holy Spirit would be here to stay. This isn't some hunch or intuition, but a conviction navigating you to God's holy word. When you have a real relationship with God, you have the person of the Spirit living inside you, guiding your walk of life every step of the way. Don't trust your feelings. Look up John chapter 16 and see if it sends you reeling. I'm Pastor Heath from Woodland. Read about it.
Football might be over this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pros and college hoops. For all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's promo code BLEAV. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage, is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Cells has been serving the River Valley in eastern Oklahoma for over 40 years and believe in fair prices, superior service, and treating people right. The friendly and knowledgeable staff is here to help you find the car you deserve, priced right to fit your budget, so you can leave with a peace of mind knowing that you are getting a quality, well-maintained vehicle. Come see the team at Carco Auto Sales, formerly Hertz Car Sales, at 2810 Midland Boulevard today. Give them a call at 783-1722 or check them out at buyfromcarco.com. Carco Auto Sales, when you're ready.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
There's a woman going crazy on Caroline Street, stopping every man that she does meet, saying if you'll be gentle, if you'll be sweet, I'll show you my place on Caroline Street.
Now, back to the guys. Here's Phil Elson, Matty T, and Drew Barrett.
And it's time to close up shop on halftime here. A couple of moments if you want to be on the show. 877-377-6963. SC softball lost their first game to Louisville. 8-4. Second game's coming up in about 5 minutes. So good luck to Courtney Deifel and her club in this double dip. Enjoyed that women's win yesterday. That was outstanding. It's good to see Mike Neighbors' team get back to the ways that they usually play, which is fast-paced and winning ways. 87-79. They hadn't scored 70 points in either of the last 4 games and really had a lot of trouble setting the pace of the basketball game. But I continue to be very impressed by the way this team plays when they're not at 100%, I think, health-wise. Michaela Daniels is now wearing a brace on her left shoulder and a brace on the left knee. Samara Spencer is doing her best Bill Laimbeer imitation, wearing a clear face mask on the floor because of a slight fracture in her nose, just a little bit, but enough where she's got to wear it. Erin Barnum played her best, I think, since the knee injury, and that knee injury has limited her at times. But this team found a way to beat Mississippi State for the second time, which means they play Mizzou on Thursday for the third time this year in the 8-9 game of the SEC Women's Tournament in Nashville. And the winner of that game is lucky to play against top-ranked South Carolina, which usually doesn't go well for anybody. But I will say this. I remember when the Razorbacks beat South Carolina in Greenville for the SEC. It was in the SEC quarterfinals. I think that was 3 years ago. So anything can happen once you get into a tournament.
Yeah, anything can happen, and it's good for that Mike Neighbors and his team picked up those wins. And I'll just go ahead and mark you as absentee on Friday as well, because I think Arkansas is going to win on Thursday. So we're going to have a feel-free Friday and a feel-free Thursday.
That's right. We got a 12 noon tip-off at Bridgestone Arena Thursday. So that means I can't be on the show. It just means 2 hours of nothing but, I guess, making fun of me. I can't even listen.
Don't even go back and listen to the podcast or anything.
I've got to have my Mike Neighbors interview an hour before tip, which means 11 o'clock. Although, and this is the thing about tournaments that's always so different. You know, you've been doing things you've developed routines over the course of a season. And those routines get completely thrown out of whack when you get into the games that are the most important of the year, the tournament games. You can't talk to your coach at the same time every game. You're not even allowed to bring a water bottle next to the court. God forbid you should have a bottle that says Dasani or a bottle that says Aquafina, because at the SEC tournament, it's all Deja Blue. So I'm just going to put it in a Gatorade squeeze bottle and let them, throw me in water jail, for crying out loud. But those things are totally different. You can't talk to the head coach after a win. He's got to go talk to television first. It's nuttiness. But, I guess it's March Madness, so everything gets a little crazier in March. Should be able to beat Missouri for a third time, I would expect. If you beat a team twice. What I always like to tell you, Drew, when it comes to the NFL, in the NFL, if you play a team twice, got to play them in the postseason. It's really, really tough to beat a team three times.
That's what they tell me.
I don't know. I think it might be easier to lose to a team three times than beat a team three times.
Yeah, last time I checked, it is a lot easier to lose than to win. If it was easy to win, everybody would be winners. And last time I checked, the world's not just overflowing with winners.
No, it's not. The SEC is, though, so things change just a little bit. And for those who are asking, I'm not on any of the baseball games until Sunday at the earliest, no matter what happens in Nashville. So that's the earliest I'll be back for baseball. It'll be Sunday against Southeastern. So I'd love to see this women's team make a run. And you never know what happens in the month of March. Last year, the women's team was red hot going into the postseason. I think it was like 8 or 9 straight wins, something like that. Ended up losing the first game in the SEC tournament and lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So you never know. You never know.
March is madness for a reason.
Yeah. What's April?
April showers bring May flowers.
We're not worried about horticulture here. This is sports, Drew. Come on.
Yeah, April won't bring baseball.
No, it's not going to bring baseball. Nor will it bring Vladimir Putin to the United States as a citizen, which would happen before baseball plays 162 games this year. Great stuff. Back with you, just like Jackson says, in 22 hours. For Drew, I'm Phil. Get up, get out, and get better.
It is here, fast, reliable internet from Wave Rural Connect. Cedarville, Uniontown, Natural Dam, and